Grand Hood Rising, Kings and Queens, Trap Witch coming here to bring you a December 2020 reading. I have been a little missing in action, especially from YouTube, majority of the year, with purposeful good reason. As an energetic healer, I think it is very important knowing the times when we must rest and not quit. And although I stepped away from YouTube, those of you who follow me on Instagram, the Trap Witch, TheTrapWitch, you have been seeing I'm still very active daily in that space and in that community. But with that being said, energetically in 2020, I was just feeling to pour back more into myself and not necessarily overload myself onto multiple platforms. And those of you who have been working one-on-one with me, I appreciate you deeply. For those of you who would love to work one-on-one with me, you can always book a session in sacred space with me through thetrapwitch.com. 2020, man, 2020, although it has been a chaotic, conflicting year, I myself have found it to be a very purposeful year. And for some of us who have been working diligently for the past few years and are awakening and doing our inner work, I myself have found it to have been a beautiful time for rest, a beautiful time to allow the rest of the conscious collective that have been maybe refusing or avoiding their work to catch up. For those of us who have been doing the work, for us to assist some of the people who are waking up. We say that with reason, clearly working up. They are working up. They're awakening. So, yeah, I've been enjoying my personal life a lot more, making time for myself. And if you're an energetic worker who's watching this, I'm sure I'd hope that you've been making time for yourself as well. I'm now in union and partnership, and I'd say 2020 wasn't a year where I fell in love, but I decided to walk in love with another being, and remembering parts of myself that have been long neglected by being just Trap Witch have now began to return to me. And I think that's very important in the work that I do, as I think that as an energetic worker, sometimes we lean so much into the spiritual practice that we neglect some of the human. And in being in our human, we can advise also from a more human perspective, and not from the perspective of the guru or the perspective of the grand teacher or the grand sensei or any of these things, but just from a more human perspective and human experience. For those of you who have followed me long term, you know that I like to advise people from a very practical standpoint. I feel that we are here to enjoy the human experience. And I myself, although we are ascending, fast, and we are in 5D, it's like, don't be so quick to be avoidant of the earthly plane. And here where we are now, just to ascend for the sake of ascending. So, there's a reason why all of these, this physical illness that's also highly spiritual has come up in 2020, for us to remember so much human aspect of ourselves. How important connection is to us, how important other people should be to us at times, how we are just in our humanity. We've gone through a major turning point, especially here in the United States in the past couple weeks, and we're going to continue to be going through that in December into 2021. And a lot of us like to think that a new year starts and the work from the last year doesn't carry over, but it does. So I felt strongly to come out of YouTube hiding and come on here and share a message that Spirit has to give. As we're entering into December and entering into a new year already, right? It was just like yesterday we were ending a decade and stepping into 2020. And I know a lot of us have come into this with grander vision, grander perspective, better clairvoyance, better ability to see, right? So, yeah. So before I jump in, you know, if you feel, this reading resonates with you, if you're feeling like you're at a place in your life where there's confusion, where you're needing more clarity, where you're just needing a little bit of a mirror to see yourself better, you know, just someone to help you check up, check in. Like I said, you can book a session with me through thetrapwitch.com. Once you book, just send me your availability. The instructions are on my site, and we can get in on the video call and get into some heart space. I do video call because I connect through here. When I look you in your eyes, forgive the broken nails. Nails are getting done on Tuesday. You know, look you in your eyes, feel you in your heart, you know, connect in that way. So yeah, we have to remember that we are a blessing to each other, even in this human existence. Sometimes God works through other people. Sometimes we are here to remember that the connection is there. God is there in other people as well for us. Spirit listens, spirit hears us. So sometimes I know when I work with people, they're like, damn, that's just the confirmation that I need to have the confidence to move forward. So I'm looking forward to working with some of you very soon. I just got back from Los Angeles last week, and I'm heading back out there again this week. For those of you who don't know, I'm initiated to the Lukumi practice. I'm a daughter of Ochun and Chongo. I was crowned in 2019. I finished my year in April of this year, and so I went out there to receive the room. Meaning that I've graduated that end of year in white and moved into now being able to work in ceremonies inside the sacred room where so many secrets of things lie. And to this I say too, you know, I'm still very much a baby, a novice, a student in that practice. And I honestly won't lie, I felt so overwhelmed last week when I stepped into that. It was definitely a learning experience. And although I feel in my heart I'm not ready to take on God kids for a number of years, and really be a teacher in that. If you're needing, you know, help on figuring out if that's a path for you or being passed on to people who might be able to guide you, I can pass you on to those people. But yeah, Orisha practice has really changed my life, and more so than anything, it's changed how I see myself, how I see my own power, how I see the power of my ancestors, and how they, you know, their lives were a sacrifice in order to allow me to ascend further now as I've incarnated into this existence. And the beauty of the practices is honestly beyond the technicality of them, because they're so fucking technical, is that it's just a beautiful tool to reach your destiny and to learn so much about yourself. Because, you know, the Orisha are not solely these beings that are outside of us, they are within us, and they teach us grand lessons about how we should move through this life in order to obtain our destiny. And we don't have to be perfect. We don't have to be perfect. They weren't perfect. They were real. And as long as we are looking to always move in our integrity past old cycles and old lessons, we shall continue to prosper. Nothing formed against us besides ourselves, truly, I feel like, will stop us from what we're here to do. So before I ramble anymore, let's take a sip of this. And let's just get into a message. So for those of you who love me, please put a little sticker underneath this video to tell people it starts at roughly about 10 minutes for the reading, so they don't have to listen to me ramble too much, right? All right. Let us get into this for December. Spirit, we call you in on behalf of the Conscious Collective, and we ask for the highest good of all those involved with harm to none. We ask for clarity. We ask for clear perception. We ask Alegua to open the roads to precise, clear messages at this time. What is it subconsciously, below the surface, beyond the veil, that can facilitate in the collective's highest good at this time? Allow us to overcome our own personal and individual barriers that might be blocking us mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, and allowing us to be in alignment and stay in alignment with all the good things in life that is due to us. Love, happiness, peace of mind, prosperity, good health, clarity, and all the good things in life. We call on our spirit guides, our Egun, our ancestors, our ascended masters of benevolence only to point us in the direction on how to use our energy to the utmost of its capacity to be of benevolence not only to ourselves but also others. I ask at this time if there's just anything on the subconscious plane that we are missing that needs to be brought to our attention at this time. Please do so, especially for the month of December 2020, in order to go into January 2021 strong, focused, and intentful. Ashe. Ashe. And for those of you, who follow me for a long time, we back out here on the porch with the Bustelo and the cigar. Just felt right to close the year off this way. For those of you who know, OG Trap Witch. OG Trap Witch readings. Okay. Let's do this. 1, 2. Oh, my girl. 2, 3. Yeah. Look, I put on my Dos Aguas necklace that my godbrother Alex Rios, he's also a Chunchongo. We're twins in that sense. Chunchongo. I received my Dos Aguas necklace last week when I went, finally, but it's so funny. The 2 waters came out in the cards. Ochun and Yamaya. And as I've grown as a reader, I don't feel the need to always show y'all the cards, so just forgive me if I just speak. But know that Ochun and Yamaya are there, the waters. Career transition. Okay. Oh, a lot of water coming up. Let's put these down here out of my way. Ay. Initiation. Fruition. Okay. All right. So, I'm sure that many of you already know this, but 2020 has been an awakening for so many people with the current climate and circumstances when it comes to their career, when it comes to their purpose, right? And I just think beyond it just being about our careers, it's more so how we position ourselves in life, right? Because I always don't think of when a career card comes out, I don't always think necessarily about it being about just the career, but how we position ourselves. And I just heard the word or the abbreviation HR in my ear, like HR, right? You know how when you're going through issues within the workplace, you want to take it to HR, you want to take it to a place where there can be resolution, where there can be solution found. And a lot of people, as they're ending this year, they're trying to find resolution to certain ways that they position themselves, right? That they position themselves in their life when it comes to the way that they work, okay? So more than just the word career, I'm hearing work. How we choose to work in our lives. How we work in our career, how we work in our relationships, how we work in business. All of us have to recognize that it is a time to analyze where there needs to be a detoxification, where there needs to be a clearing, where there needs to be inventory and a checkup done in how we work in order to avoid self-destruction. And when we talk about how we work, right? Why does this matter? Why does this matter? Why does it even matter in our life? Because how we choose to work impacts the productivity. Okay? It impacts the fruitfulness, the productivity, and the sacral chakra, right? The sacral chakra that's connected to our sexuality, that's connected to our pleasure, right? Some of us have to ask if the way that we go about work, or especially the way we position ourselves in our exchanges with everything in our lives, how true is it to us at this point? And I think that's what so many people don't realize, that sometimes, right? And I enjoy that I shared what I shared with you guys in the beginning of this about stepping away from the YouTube readings, is that at times I did that so I can continue to have joy and pleasure in what I do. So I'm not stretched thin over here and not burnt out over here. So I could still give to my career. It's just changing how I work in order so I could still be fruitful, so I could still be close to the work, so I could still be, but it's still in itself a detoxification, a clearing, a purging of how I work, right? So I like that I shared that in the beginning, because I feel, even with this spread that came out here, there's gems in that. Often we have to realize, in order to be true to ourselves, it's not always going to be easy. Self-love is a hard business. When we look at our whole life, asking how we work in regards to our self-love can become complicated, right? Because it's going to sometimes be facing the conflict. It's going to be facing the shit that's not nice. It's going to be facing these things and these hard truths in order that we can continue to position ourselves to be promoted in this existence, right? Because I know a lot of us, sometimes we don't know why we're feeling just so emotionally stagnated. Why we feel like our libido for life, for our interactions and everything is just down. It's like, I don't want to talk to my friends. It's not that you don't love your friends, you just don't want to talk to them. It's not that you don't, absolutely hate your job, you're just tired. You have to look at all of these things and ask yourself, where does your care routine need to be implemented in order for you to stay fruitful? In order for you to stay fertile? In order for you to continue to walk towards your destiny? So some of you are going to be realizing that either your work is no longer cutting it for you and you're going to be making a transition out. And I made a post about this about a month ago, about a lot of people are going to be leaving their jobs this year just for bigger purpose and for a different way of life. So some of you are going to be leaving your jobs, but at the same, because you realize that this work is just putting you in a state of constant self-destruction, right? Lowering your libido, making you rigid, making you tired, making you just not love life, making your emotions just like, and that's okay. That's okay to take these concerns into consideration. There's a reason why we need to take this into consideration as well, because there's so much currency and wealth beyond just physical, monetary satisfaction. When we look at wealth and when we look at abundance on a multifaceted level, time is a currency, energy is a currency, love is a currency. So many of these things are currencies. And when we're looking at our jobs, what we do, are we satisfied with the currency that is left over after we've done these things? So when you go to work and when you are done, are you satisfied with the time, the energy, the love, the pleasure, the things that you have to show? Or are you unsatisfied? When you do your work with your friends and those exchanges and where you position yourself with those people, are you satisfied afterwards? In your relationship, where you position yourself in this relationship? Because also too, we have to look at with all these things being work, that means all of these things are partnerships. All of these things play a position in how you're being positioned in the world. And now is the time to self-initiate. You know, again, with that whole HR word coming in, it's like sometimes you don't have to wait for HR to come to you. You have to go to HR. What are your concerns? What are your concerns? You know, especially when it comes to being fruitful. You know, I know some people at times who ask me about, you know, in readings about fertility, about, you know, their ability to produce. Sometimes they're so afraid to take their concerns to a higher up. And so some of you who are in positions where you have genuine, real concerns about things that are making you self-destructive, you need to self-initiate to take these feelings and these emotions and these concerns to something that's what you'd consider a higher up in order to get the resolutions and the answers. But one thing that you cannot do this year is to be dishonest and untrue to yourself. Because staying in that place of, oh, my feelings don't matter about this, communication doesn't matter about this, nothing matters about this, it's going to stagnate you. It's going to block your fruition. It's going to block your manifestation. And a lot of you, you know, fail to neglect that keeping our inner child alive throughout this existence is so important. That creative spark. And some of you right now are hitting a block with your creativity. And some of you are even questioning what you can manifest in this life. You think that you're just bound to stay in the cycle of self-depletion and self-destruction. A lot of y'all are motherfucking tired. A lot of y'all are tired. And tired because the energy is low, because you know there needs to be an evaluation. You know, I always tell people that when energetic blocks come up, sometimes the reason why we're tired is just not that we need more sleep. It's so much deeper than that. Sometimes we're putting excess pressure on our body. Sometimes we're putting excess pressure on our mind. Sometimes we are in situations that are taking from us and not giving us back energetically. And so in order to define the positions that you want to be in, you have to ask yourself, what is it worth? And you're gonna have to do the work. You're gonna have to purify the situations. You're going to have to renew the situations. Hold on. Okay. It's just inventory season. End of the year, right? It's cliche. It's cliche when people say, "Oh, it's the end of the year, New Year's resolutions." You know what? Look, it's the perfect time. It's the perfect time for resolution. It's the perfect time to take inventory of your whole life and ask yourself, where's the imbalance? Where am I unfulfilled? Where am I depleted? And now is the time to take a risk and go after what you fucking want. You know, so many people underestimate their sexual power. And why I always tell people why sexuality is at the root of spirituality, because if you have no relationship with your sexuality, you cannot understand yourself as a spirit to your utmost capacity. All of us have power. All of us have ashe. All of us are born with energy, and we learn to work more with it as we learn who we are and how we exchange it. Even as I sit here and I make this video, this is an exchange. This is a sexual exchange. Me speaking, sharing my mind, this is all a sexual exchange. And in life, we get to choose where we position ourselves that gives us the most, or take ourselves out of places where it doesn't give us the most. We get to define those things. And at times, it's going to take balls. It's going to take big ovaries. It's going to take cojones, heart, faith to take those leaps towards things that you know that you can create. And then some of you at this time, you know you can create real purpose in your life. Some of you don't want to work the way you've been working at a job anymore. Some of you don't want to. Work in a relationship the way you've been working in a relationship anymore. Some of you don't want to work in a friendship the way you've been working. But at the same time, you have to believe there's something more for you and that you can manifest that. Something that's true to you. You don't have to settle for everything that you've settled for, and you don't have to get complacent and stagnated and depleted about it. You have to resolve it. You have to get the waters flowing again. When we think of the waters this time, get those creative juices flowing. And when you're not looking to be so rigid anymore, and you trust the flow, although you might not know where the fuck you're going or how it's going to happen, you trust the flow of what's going this way instead of trying to pick up things that aren't worth holding anymore. A lot of you are desiring new experiences going into 2021. And December is a month to ask yourself, how am I positioning myself for that? How do I take initiation? How do I take these thoughts and take them into consideration, because my thoughts matter? How I want to show up in this life and communicate myself and where I want to position myself, it matters. So pay attention to your thoughts. Pay attention how you're talking to yourself about how you can create these things, because you gotta listen to your heart. A lot of y'all are emotionally depleted because you're not listening to your heart about this anymore. I just heard, hearts are hard things to mend when you think, hearts are hard things to mend. Hearts are hard things to mend. Hearts are hard things to mend. Hearts are hard things to mend when you treat, again, it's like when they're being inflexible. There's a sense of like tears, like I'm seeing like tears in the heart, like your hearts have tears in it because you're trying to force things into the heart that just don't fit. But when the heart is flexible and the heart is more soft and open to the things that feel like they secure that space more gently, it softly expands. And so your heart becomes filled. It becomes filled with all the things that you don't have to force into it. It's not the season to force shit in your heart that just don't go there. Period. Your job don't your job, your boo, or whoever your boo was, or who you thought it was, your friend, like, there's no need to force shit into your life in 2020 going to 2021. True to yourself. You gotta be true to yourself at the end of this year. A lot of you will stay true only to certain positions because you don't think that there's nothing else. And that's because you don't believe in the power of your ashe, of what you can manifest. You create your own existence. Yes, we are living in a collective world, but you still create your own existence within that existence. Some of you don't believe in your own wisdom, but it's not even that you don't even believe in your own wisdom and your own power. You're afraid to take these honorable losses. And when I say honorable losses, you're afraid to take these losses in order to get to something more favorable. But at first, you're going to have to do something that seems unfavorable to get to what's favorable for you. You know, I remember one time I was quitting a job, and I'm like, I feel like there's a shame or a stigma sometimes around us being like, nope, not for me, sorry. Open up that position for someone else. Some of you also need to not be selfish. If you don't want that shit, let someone else have it. You don't want that job, let someone else have it. You don't want that man or woman, let someone else have it. You don't want that friend, let someone else have it. Stop holding on to things that just emotionally deplete you just to say you have them. It's not true to you. If it's not for you, let it be for someone else. You got to change how you work, how you position yourself. And some of you are just in situations where it might be changing things up so that they're more well suited. Again, in this situation, asking yourself, am I depleted from these situations because they need to be managed, or do they need to be let go? Do they need to be tailored, or do you need to shop somewhere else? I always tell people it's easier to tailor a suit than to destroy a whole suit and make it something else that it's not. Make it something else that it's not for what? Make it something else that it's not for what? You know? Hold on, y'all. I need to grab something. Click, clack, the trap witch is back. Oh, shit. Okay. Oh, child, I almost broke that chair. This will not be censored out. Okay. What do we need to know in completion of this? So I pulled a closing word from the Confident Woman Devotional by Joyce Meyer, okay? Speak the truth, okay? So the scripture says, Ephesians 4:15, rather let our lives lovingly express truth in all things, speaking truly, dearly, truly living truth. Enfolded in love, let us grow up in every way and in all things into him who is the head, even Christ, the Messiah, the Anointed One. Okay? People-pleasing behavior often leads People-pleasing behavior often leads people to tell lies because they fear people won't accept the truth. They say yes with their mouth while their heart is screaming no. They may not want to do something, but they act as if they do for fear for displeasing someone. If they ever do say no, they usually make an excuse rather than tell the truth, and they just don't want to do what they are being asked to do. They may not feel it is the right thing for them to do. We don't want to be rude, but neither do we want to be liars. Most people pleasers are not honest about their desires, feelings, and thoughts. They tell people what they want to hear, not what they need to hear. A healthy relationship demands honesty. We should be able to say to people, I don't have peace about making that commitment right now, and they should graciously receive the answer but it rarely happens. Some people may not want to hear the truth, but that does not relieve us of the responsibility to speak the truth. Speak the truth in love today. God, help me to speak and live in truth in all that I do. I don't want to be rude, but I refuse to be dishonest or to resort to half-truths to avoid the real truth. Amen. Again, right, goes back to not trying to force shit into your heart that just don't fit there. Okay? You know, and people pleasing is a huge theme coming up towards the end of this year, especially for me. I know that's for sure. You know, just telling the truth, not being a people pleaser, not doing things and putting yourselves in position and working in ways that just doesn't work for you. You know, don't be afraid to say some shit just doesn't work for me. And there are going to be people that are willing to work with you. Like I said, right? Like I said in the beginning when I heard the whole HR thing. Sometimes human resources, right? I'll be honest, I've never had a real job that I required human resources to attention, right? But still, you know, taking it to a place of, can we get this resolved? Can we get this balanced out? Or do I need to leave? Right? In your relationships now, who do you need to speak to? Do you need to speak? Firstly, you need to speak to yourself. Secondly, you need to take it to people who can either help you come to a resolution to work it differently, or you need to move on. Again, speak the truth when it comes to work, when it comes to love, when it comes to family, when it comes to everything. You create your existence. But you cannot think that you don't play a part in that. You have to pay attention to your own thoughts. You have to pay attention to your own feelings. You have to pay attention to what is your truth. You have to pay attention to what is your heart. And you need to take inventory seasonally. This is just not something that you do occasionally. Constantly take inventory seasonally to ask yourself what fits in your life. There's a reason why if you live in a place with 4 seasons, you're changing out your wardrobe seasonally. What can go, what can stay, what's taking up space, what do I need to put away? But you need to be honest about that, because some of y'all are hitting these energetic and creative blocks, not because energy is not available to you, but you need to rearrange it so you're not depleted and you're not getting into these self-destructive modes because you're not recognizing what's depleting you. What's your truth? You know, it's okay. You know, there's always those memes that say people are grateful when they don't have to go to something again. Right? I understand that. Sometimes there's times where, you know, we're just being a little avoidant and we need to people better. But then there's times where there's a reason why we don't want to go and people with certain people. Maybe those really aren't our people. Why are we forcing ourselves to be in those situations and exchanges where those people drain us energetically? Why we're not connecting? Why it doesn't feel fruitful, why it feels destructive every time we go into it, you know? So I'm not going to ramble too much more. Take inventory of that. For those of you who that was for, hope it hits you good and hard. We're about to be 2021, y'all. I'm excited for 2021. I don't think 2020 was that bad of a year. I was prepared for it mentally and emotionally. It's been taxing in some points, but you know, I'm here with y'all. I'm part of the collective. I'm here with y'all looking at this and being like, what we got to do? How we got to position ourselves and how we work with everything. What we got to do? We are master manifestors of our own existence. So, you know, sending you all lots of love. We're going to cut this off at 40 minutes. We don't need to go longer than that. So I love you all. Peace be with you. May you travel in mercy and grace. You know, be safe out there. I don't care what your views are about what's going on. Just be mindful, be safe. Don't be assholes to other people. We all play a part in this coexistence right now. So let's be good to each other. yeah, and let's bring 2021 in. Let's just bring it in. Okay, so love you all. Those of you who want to work one-on-one, want to dive into some personal things, some individual things, thetrapwitch.com, and I will see you guys all in 2021. Bye.